Some of the people who wrote the Constitution of the United States thought it was a really great document, but it didn't say everything they wanted it to. The United States began operating under its new Constitution on March 4th, 1789. This document established the U.S. as a free nation with a strong national government ruled by the people. The Articles of the Constitution also established the rights of the states and explained the roles of the nation's executive, legislative, and judiciary branches. There was, however, no mention of the rights of the citizens of the United States. So, even as the Constitution was being signed, it was clear that changes or amendments would be necessary. What is the Bill of Rights? What is the First Amendment? Some of the delegates to the Constitutional Convention were so upset by the lack of mention of individual rights, they refused to sign the document. George Mason was one such delegate. He wanted to be sure that it was clear that the individual's rights were superior to any government rights. He suggested that a list of individuals' rights be added to the Constitution. Fellow founding father James Madison agreed and proposed 12 amendments or changes to the Constitution. In the end, only 10 of these amendments were approved by the states. These 10 are known as the Bill of Rights. Each amendment offers rights and freedoms to the citizens of the United States by putting limits on what the government can do and control. The First Amendment is one of the most well-known amendments. Although it is short, it encompasses some of our most basic rights: the freedom of religion, the freedom of speech, and the freedom of the press. The text of the First Amendment reads, "Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press, or the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances." The very first idea in the very first amendment is about the freedom of religion. Clearly, it was important to the founding fathers to allow citizens to establish and practice their religion freely. It is important to remember that many of the first European settlers came to America in order to be able to practice their religion as they wished. The founding fathers wanted to ensure that this freedom would not be taken away. The First Amendment also says that the government cannot set a national religion for the United States and cannot show preference to any one religion, including the practice of no religion. The second right addressed in the First Amendment is the freedom of speech. This part of the amendment allows people to speak their ideas and opinions freely. The founding fathers did not want the new government of the United States to stop citizens from speaking up if they had issues with how the government was working. The First Amendment prevents the government from punishing people for expressing their opinions. The Supreme Court has said that ideas can be expressed in many different ways, including the wearing of symbols, picketing, and even burning the flag. Just as people are allowed to speak their ideas, the First Amendment allows citizens to freely publish their ideas, opinions, and information without being stopped by the government. This idea was important to our founding fathers because the press played a big role in the Revolutionary War. Without it, the founding fathers would have been unable to convey their views to all parts of the country. The final part of the First Amendment protects citizens' rights to assemble or hold gatherings and to officially bring problems to the government. This part of the amendment has been important throughout our nation's history. Early citizens needed to assemble in order to coordinate the war against the British. Later, women's suffrage groups met to coordinate efforts to allow women the right to vote. The freedom to petition or make a formal request to the government is rooted in colonial history, too. The colonists had a difficult time getting King George to hear their concerns. Now, thanks to the First Amendment, citizens can protest, picket, and address government officials through speech, and even through social media.